The galaxy was vast, stretching across light years of empty space dotted with stars, planets and civilizations of countless forms. In this immense expanse, countless species had carved their lives, built empires, and waged wars. But none were as notorious, none were as feared, as the humans of the Deathworlder Special Forces. It began as a whisper. Across crowded spaceports, in the neon-lit bars of orbiting stations, and in the command halls of grand warships, strange stories circulated. Some called them myths. Others, who had glimpsed their deeds, called them legends. Aliens of every shape and size told tales of humans who were trained not on soft, comfortable worlds, but on planets so harsh that even machines struggled to survive. They said humans could walk through storms that burned the skin, traverse forests with plants sharp enough to slice through armor, and survive predators that could tear apart a spacecraft. On such worlds, the strongest and the cleverest did not always survive, but humans did. And not only did they survive, they thrived. In the heart of the Kylar cluster, an alien commander named Vrix had just received the latest transmission about the humans. He was a tall, multi-limbed creature with deep violet skin and eyes that glowed like molten metal. Vrix's species prided itself on its military skill and strategic genius, and they had never encountered humans personally. But these whispers of human warriors gnawed at him. He had heard reports that no force had ever defeated a Deathworlder squad. Every attempt ended in disaster. Vrix sat in his command center, the walls alive with holographic displays showing human planets and past encounters. He leaned forward, his many fingers tapping rapidly against the control panel. "If these humans are as unstoppable as the rumors say," he murmured to himself, "then perhaps it is time we see them for ourselves." Across the galaxy, other species reacted similarly. Traders, miners, and explorers shared the same stories. Some laughed, convinced that these were just exaggerations, stories told to scare young recruits or to create legends for entertainment. "Humans?" said one Martin trader to his companions in a crowded market on Thalor Prime. "They are just like us. Nothing special. Survival training? That's everywhere." Yet whispers from worlds few dared to visit painted a very different picture. On the planet Korath, storms raged constantly. Electrical arcs split the sky every few minutes, and acid rain turned the landscape into a molten swamp. Only the hardiest creatures survived. And according to rare reports, humans not only survived, they built outposts, trained, and thrived in conditions designed to kill. The stories fascinated Vrix. He was not a fool, and he knew legends could be exaggerated. But there was a pattern. Humans had faced every imaginable danger, and yet somehow they adapted, overcame, and grew stronger. Where other species failed, humans seemed to thrive. The concept of too dangerous simply did not exist for them. Meanwhile, aboard a transport ship orbiting the human training world of Grindel 7, the Deathworlders themselves went about their routines. These humans were no ordinary soldiers. Their bodies were conditioned to endure the extremes of hostile planets. Their reflexes were honed through years of dodging falling rocks, leaping over lava streams, and hunting creatures bigger than most alien war machines. Their minds, too, were sharpened, not only for battle but for survival in situations where logic alone was not enough. Lieutenant Mara Kellen, one of the squad leaders, walked through the training fields, her boots crunching on the jagged stone beneath her feet. Around her, her team navigated obstacle courses designed to push them to their limits. Every movement was calculated, every breath measured. They had been trained to react instantly to threats, predatory creatures, environmental hazards, or enemy combatants. Mara glanced at the horizon, where storm clouds churned with a violet light. "Remember," she called to her team, her voice steady and commanding, "we don't just survive because we're strong. We survive because we think ahead, adapt, and use the environment. Always respect it, and it will fight for you, not against you." Her team nodded, their faces determined. For them, danger was a familiar companion, not a fear. They had learned that fear could paralyze. Adaptability, however, could conquer anything. Every training session, every simulated ambush, and every encounter with Grindel's deadly wildlife was preparation, not just for survival, but for situations no one else in the galaxy could endure. Back in the Kylar cluster, Vrix made his decision. "I will send my finest forces," he said, his voice echoing across the command chamber. "If humans are truly as powerful as the legends claim, Then we will test them. And if we succeed, we will have shown the galaxy that even Deathworlders have limits. He called a council meeting, gathering his most trusted commanders. We are not merely hunting humans, he explained. We are challenging evolution itself. These creatures have faced planets that would kill most species. We will be tested, and we must be ready. The commanders listened intently, their multiple eyes fixed on Vrix. Some were skeptical. "Commander, are you sure we can survive this?" one asked. "The reports, they speak of squads defeating entire battalions. No one has ever survived an encounter." Vrix's expression hardened. "That is exactly why we must try. Humans are the standard against which all species will be measured. We will see if their strength is real, or if it is just rumor and fear." The message, once sent through the galaxy, traveled faster than any spaceship. By the time the alien fleet reached Grindel 7, rumors had preceded them. Humans were ready, not because they had been warned, but because readiness was part of who they were. Every human on Grindel 7 trained as if the worst would always come, and sometimes it did. Mara Kellen's team gathered in a briefing room, staring at the holographic projection of the alien fleet approaching. "So," she said quietly, "they've come to test us. Good. Let them see why no one survives a Deathworlder encounter." Her team smiled, a mixture of determination and quiet confidence. They did not need to fear. Survival, they had learned long ago, was a matter of preparation, teamwork, and knowing that the galaxy's harshest challenges were just another test. The alien fleet, with its sleek warships and advanced weaponry, drew closer to the human world. Vrix watched from his flagship, confident in his forces. Yet a small uneasy feeling gnawed at him. He had seen humans fight in simulations. He had studied reports, and still, he could not shake the knowledge that no species had ever truly defeated them. Across the galaxy, observers from countless worlds tuned in. Traders paused their work. Miners stopped their drills. Even diplomats in distant systems whispered in hushed tones. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test the limits of human ingenuity, adaptability, and spirit. And all across the galaxy, one question remained. Why were humans able to survive when no one else could? The answer, as the galaxy would soon learn, was simple, but terrifying. Humans did not merely survive danger. They embraced it, adapted to it, and used it to become stronger. For every storm, predator, or trap, they were ready. For every impossible situation, they found a solution. And for every opponent who thought them weak, they revealed an unexpected power, one that no one had anticipated, and no one could match. And so the whispers of legend grew louder, stretching across the stars. The Deathworlder special forces were coming. And the galaxy would soon discover why no one survives facing them. The alien fleet glided silently through space, their sleek hulls reflecting the distant starlight. Commander Vrix had ordered caution, but confidence colored every movement of his crew. The human Deathworlders had never been defeated, yes, but they were just a few hundred individuals. How much damage could they truly do against a fleet designed to conquer planets? As the ships approached the target planet, a strange murmur ran through the bridge. The planet below was unlike any other the aliens had seen. It was jagged, scarred, and alive in a way that made even the most hardened officers uneasy. Storms danced across the surface like raging serpents. Purple lightning split the sky, striking the jagged terrain, while geysers of steam and fire erupted randomly across valleys. Thick black clouds swirled, hiding the surface from sensors. "This is extreme even for a death world," murmured Vrix, leaning closer to the holographic display. His multiple eyes scanned the chaotic terrain. "It's a perfect testing ground." In orbit above the planet, Lieutenant Mara Kellen watched the approaching fleet from Grindel 7. Her team was calm, organized, and focused. Humans did not panic in the face of danger. They observed it, analyzed it, and adapted to it. Every challenge was an opportunity to learn, and every hazard could become a tool. Mara turned to her squad. "The aliens think this planet will give them an advantage," she said softly. "Let's prove them wrong. Remember, we know this world. It's home. Use it," the team nodded. Each member moved to check their equipment, scanning the terrain below and rehearsing contingency plans in their minds. Every human on this squad had been trained to survive not only extreme weather, lethal predators, and unstable terrain, but also the strategies of intelligent opponents. Today would be no different. As the alien ships descended, sensors detected movement on the surface, trees bending unnaturally under high winds, rocks shifting as if moved by invisible hands, and creatures with reflective eyes watching from the darkness. These were the natural inhabitants of the planet, predators and scavengers that had evolved to survive the harshest environment in the galaxy. For ordinary species, they were deadly. For humans, they were part of the landscape, tools and challenges alike. The first drop point was a canyon near a lava river. It was treacherous. Unstable cliffs lined the edges and molten rock flowed in unpredictable streams. Most species would have avoided it entirely. Humans did not hesitate. Mara and her squad repelled from dropships with precision, landing on narrow rock ledges while storms battered them from above. "Spread out," Mara commanded. "Use the terrain." "We're not here to fight blindly." "Make them fight our way." The aliens had expected straightforward resistance, but that was never how Deathworlders operated. The humans disappeared into the canyon, blending with shadows, moving silently despite the wind and rain. Every step was calculated. Every movement accounted for the environment. Rocks were used as cover. Natural overhangs shielded them from sensors. And even the creatures of the planet, predators lurking in the shadows, were manipulated to create distractions for the approaching aliens. Commander Vrix watched the canyon through long-range cameras. "They're fast," he admitted aloud, almost grudgingly, "and they understand this world better than we could ever hope to." The alien forces tried to anticipate the humans' movements. Drones scanned the canyon, sensors searched for heat signatures, and patrols moved along obvious paths. But the Deathworlders had already anticipated each tactic. They shifted constantly, using vents, overhangs, and natural tunnels to stay out of sight. When one drone hovered too close, it was quickly misdirected by sudden flashes of reflective rocks and smoke from heated geysers. It would take time for the aliens to adapt, but humans had already done so. Hours passed, and the humans continued to navigate the deadly canyon with the precision of seasoned hunters. Mara's team moved in near-perfect coordination, each member covering another, their senses finely tuned to the slightest change in the environment. It was not brute strength that allowed them to survive, it was understanding. Understanding the terrain, understanding the opponents, and understanding themselves. The first real test came when a narrow rock bridge connected two cliffs across a bubbling lava river. Any misstep could send a person tumbling into the molten flow. The aliens assumed the humans would avoid it or struggle, but the squad moved across with measured steps. One member threw a lightweight scanner onto the bridge, which shifted the weight of sensors, tricking alien surveillance into detecting movement elsewhere. Another member triggered a small rock slide above the bridge to mask their passage with natural noise. By the time the aliens realized what had happened, the humans were already across, waiting calmly on the other side. Vrix clenched his fists. "They anticipate every move," he said, his voice tight. "Every strategy we've planned, they are already countering it before we execute it." It was not magic. It was adaptation. The humans were trained to think quickly, to assess dangers and opportunities instantly. Every environmental hazard, the acidic rainfall, the electrical storms, the jagged cliffs, was a potential tool for the humans, a natural advantage waiting to be used. The alien forces grew frustrated. They attempted to send elite squads to intercept the humans directly, thinking that superior firepower and advanced technology could overwhelm them. But Mara's team was ready. They had studied the likely paths, predicted the enemy's behavior, and set simple but effective traps. Falling rocks, sudden geyser eruptions, and even natural predators were turned into obstacles for the aliens while leaving humans untouched. One of the alien patrols found itself pinned between a collapsing rock overhang and a sudden rush of predator creatures drawn by clever lures. Panic spread through their ranks. Vrix's training and technology were formidable, but they were ineffective against humans who treated the environment as a weapon rather than an obstacle. Mara observed quietly, her eyes scanning for the next hazard. "Keep moving," she said. "The environment is our ally. They think they control it, but they do not. We do." Even as the aliens regrouped, they realized that their assumptions were failing. They had thought the planet itself would provide them an advantage. They had assumed that superior numbers and technology would win, but humans had turned the logic upside down. By respecting the planet's dangers and mastering its unpredictable features, They had turned what should have been a battlefield advantage for the aliens into a minefield of obstacles and misdirections. By nightfall, the humans had not only survived the initial landing, they had navigated much of the canyon, gained high ground and set strategic observation points. They rested briefly, not because they were tired, but to plan their next movements. For Deathworlders, rest was a moment to anticipate, to analyze, and to prepare. Fricks, observing from orbit, was growing uneasy. "It is impossible," he muttered. "No species should be able to do this. No one survives the hazards of this planet, not unprepared." But these humans were not unprepared. They were forged by worlds far harsher than this one, trained in environments designed to kill, and conditioned to exploit danger instead of fearing it. Every storm, predator, and unstable cliff was familiar to them. For every challenge the aliens created, the humans had already created a counter. And yet, the planet itself seemed almost alive, as if it recognized that these humans were different. Lightning struck close enough to startle even the humans. Geysers erupted unexpectedly, and shadowed predators prowled nearby. But still, the Deathworlders adapted. Every hazard became an advantage, every danger a tool, every obstacle a part of their plan. By the time the first day ended, Fricks realized the truth. Conventional tactics were useless. His fleet and soldiers were extraordinary by any standard, yet against these humans they were stumbling in a labyrinth of their own making. He could see it in his crew. Fear, not the panic of immediate danger, but the creeping unease that came from realizing that no strategy, no amount of technology, could predict or fully control what humans could do. Back in the canyon, Mara Kellen's team gathered around a glowing map, reviewing their positions and movements. "They will try again," she said quietly. "Stronger, smarter, faster. But we are ready. Always remember, the planet fights for us as much as we fight for survival. And survival is ours." The alien forces would soon learn the hard way that Grindel 7, dangerous as it was, favored the humans. The Deathworlders' mastery of the environment, combined with their instinctive strategy and unyielding determination, made them untouchable, even in the face of overwhelming numbers. As night fell, storms raged and the alien fleet hovered in orbit. The first signs of the coming struggle became clear. The humans were not just surviving. They were thriving. And for the aliens, the lesson of the canyon would be unforgettable. No one who faced the Deathworlders would ever underestimate them again. The first night on Grindel 7 passed with chaos hidden beneath careful control. Thunder rumbled through jagged valleys. Lightning painted the skies in brilliant streaks, and the air was thick with the scent of ozone and whetstone. The alien forces remained in orbit, confident that their numbers and technology would eventually overwhelm the humans below. But Mara Kellen and her team were already planning the next phase. "This planet belongs to no one," Mara told her squad, her voice steady over the comlink. "But it favors those who understand it, and we do. We know its dangers and we can use them. Tonight we make our move, not to fight blindly but to show them why no one survives facing us." Her team moved silently through the jagged terrain. Each member carried essential gear: sensors, portable barricades, and mapping devices that recorded environmental shifts in real time. They relied not only on technology, but also on instinct honed over years of survival training on worlds far deadlier than Grindel 7. The aliens made their first mistake by assuming human attacks would be direct. Patrol squads descended into the canyon, their weapons ready to strike at any movement. They expected to find humans hiding, waiting for the right moment. But Mara's team was not merely hiding, they were preparing. Every rock, every cliffside, every geyser vent became part of a strategic plan. A small team of humans moved to a narrow ridge overlooking the patrol's path. Using a combination of reflective devices and controlled noise from nearby predator movements, they misled the aliens into thinking humans had advanced along a different route. While the aliens concentrated their sensors there, Mara and another squad moved along the hidden side paths, positioning themselves for precise counteractions. Suddenly, a patrol moved into the canyon floor where a natural geyser erupted unpredictably. The humans had studied the pattern of these geysers for months. As the alien soldiers hesitated, Mara signaled, and another team member triggered a controlled rock slide above them. The aliens were forced to retreat in disarray, their path blocked by rocks and sudden bursts of natural hazards. "Adaptability is our weapon," Mara whispered into her comms. They think power and technology can overwhelm us, but they cannot outthink the environment. Every hazard works for us. The aliens regrouped quickly, realizing that brute force would not work. They tried a more coordinated approach, sending multiple squads to cut off the humans' positions and using sensors to predict movement. Yet Mara's team anticipated this as well. They had already mapped potential alien paths and designed routes that allowed them to stay one step ahead. When a small alien squad attempted to flank the humans through a narrow tunnel, they found themselves facing an unexpected challenge. A set of small but carefully placed barriers and natural debris forced the aliens to slow down, giving the humans time to move silently along higher ground. By the time the aliens realized their path was blocked, the humans had vanished, leaving behind only the subtle signs of their presence. Mara paused atop a ridge to observe the battlefield below. "Every move they make we already account for," she said calmly. "We don't attack blindly. We attack smartly, and we survive." The aliens, trained in conventional warfare, found themselves struggling. Every tactic they used was anticipated and countered. When they tried to use their superior sensors to locate the humans, they found readings distorted by reflections from metallic rocks, dust, and natural lighting anomalies. When they attempted to deploy drones, sudden vents of steam and hidden predator activity forced the machines to retreat. Every tool they relied upon seemed useless against humans who treated danger as a natural ally. Meanwhile, the humans began to use the environment actively in their counterattacks, not to harm unnecessarily, but to hinder movement and create strategic advantage. Falling rocks blocked alien paths, geysers obscured vision, and the natural predators of the planet, drawn carefully into specific zones, caused confusion among the intruders. Mara's team never underestimated these creatures. They understood them, respected them, and guided them with precision. One alien commander, watching from a drone, began to notice a pattern. The humans were not only surviving, they were learning and adapting faster than the aliens expected. Every failed attempt, every obstacle, every environmental hazard was absorbed into human strategy. They moved fluidly, anticipating challenges before they even appeared. Vrix, observing from orbit, grew increasingly uneasy. "They don't just survive," he muttered. "They use everything around them. The storms, the predators, the terrain. It all works for them. We are fighting the environment and the humans at the same time, and we are losing control." By the second day, Mara's squad had gained strategic high ground overlooking key canyon routes. They monitored alien movements carefully, predicting where the next patrols would travel. Using natural light patterns, smoke from geysers, and subtle sound cues, they manipulated the aliens' perception of the battlefield. What appeared to be empty paths were often traps or diversions, and humans remained safely hidden while the aliens wasted energy chasing false leads. Even the alien technology, advanced as it was, struggled to adjust. Their drones faltered in unpredictable wind patterns, sensors were disrupted by sudden thermal changes, and communication interference caused by the planet's storms made coordination difficult. The Deathworlders, on the other hand, were unaffected. They had faced planets with magnetic storms far stronger, predators far deadlier, and terrain far less forgiving. Grandel 7 was challenging, but it was familiar territory. Mara gathered her squad in a natural rock alcove to review the day's movements. "They are strong, yes," she said, "but we are smarter. Every move they make gives us information. Every mistake they make is a chance to gain advantage. And remember," she added, a faint smile forming, "we survive because we think, because we adapt, and because we never stop moving forward." As night fell again, the humans continued their silent campaign. Small teams patrolled the most dangerous zones, leaving subtle traps and diversions while other squads monitored alien movement from high vantage points. Every predator in the area seemed to act unpredictably, but Mara's team had trained for that. They knew patterns, understood instincts, and used every creature's natural behavior to create advantage without harming the planet itself. Vrix, frustrated and increasingly anxious, realized that his entire fleet was being outmaneuvered by a few hundred humans. Their training, their adaptability, and their understanding of the environment had made conventional warfare nearly useless. Every strategy was countered before it could be executed. Every movement was anticipated, and the humans remained calm, organized, and ready for whatever came next. By the third day, the aliens were exhausted, not physically, but mentally. Their confidence had been shaken. Each patrol, each drone deployment, each attempted flank ended with confusion or failure. The humans were always one step ahead, moving fluidly through the terrain using the environment as both shield and guide. They did not fight recklessly. They fought with precision, intelligence, and patience. Mara's team, perched on cliffs and ridges, observed a larger alien force attempting to converge on their position. The humans had already planned for this. Small controlled releases of smoke and rock slides created illusions of movement in other directions, while natural predators subtly blocked key paths. The aliens, frustrated and confused, diverted their forces repeatedly, falling into traps they could not anticipate. "See," Mara said quietly, "they cannot predict us. They cannot control us. This is why no one survives a Deathworlder encounter." For the aliens, it was becoming painfully clear. Their technology, their numbers, and even their training could not overcome humans who had turned the deadliest environment in the galaxy into an advantage. Every challenge was expected, every hazard anticipated, and every enemy action countered. Humans thrived where others would falter, adapted where others would fail, and moved where others would be trapped. By the time the third night fell, Mara's squad had solidified their control over the canyon network. They had not fought a single direct engagement in the conventional sense. There was no need. Their strategy was simple: survive, adapt, and use every element of the environment as a tool. The aliens, despite superior technology and numbers, were being worn down by the humans' intelligence, creativity, and unmatched adaptability. From orbit, Frick sighed, a rare feeling of unease settling over him. He had expected resistance, but not mastery of the battlefield. He watched as humans moved like shadows, their every action efficient, deliberate, and perfectly timed. The Deathworlders were not just soldiers. They were evolution in motion, shaped by worlds that demanded excellence in survival and rewarded intelligence, quick thinking, and adaptability. The lesson was becoming clear. No alien force, no matter how advanced or numerous, could defeat humans who had learned to embrace danger instead of fearing it. The battlefield was theirs, not because of brute force, but because of intellect, preparation, and the ability to turn every hazard into an advantage. As Mara Kellen watched the alien patrols retreat into confusion, she smiled. "They still don't understand," she said. "We are not just surviving. We are thriving, and they are learning the hard way why no one survives facing Deathworlder special forces. The galaxy would soon witness the full extent of their power." But for the alien fleet had been in orbit above Grindel 7 for 3 days now, and Commander Vrix was no longer confident. His patrols had failed, his drones had been misled, and the humans seemed to anticipate every move. The canyon, which should have been a trap for the Deathworlders, had become their fortress. Every cliff, ridge, and ravine favored the humans, and every environmental hazard worked against the aliens. "Pull back for now," Vrix ordered, frustration thick in his voice. "We need a new plan. Their survival is beyond anything we expected." But Mara Kellen and her squad were already several steps ahead. From their high vantage points, they observed alien forces regrouping, communicating, and preparing for another attempt to corner them. Mara's eyes scanned the terrain. Every ridge, tunnel, and rock formation had been memorized. Every predator, every geyser vent, every electrical storm had been studied and incorporated into their strategy. "They think retreating gives them advantage," Mara said quietly to her team. "It doesn't. It gives us control. We dictate the battlefield." The humans began their next maneuver with precision. Small squads moved to the canyon's high ground, establishing observation points and creating subtle diversions to draw alien forces into traps. Rocks were loosened above narrow pathways, ready to fall with minimal human intervention. Steam vents were guided to obscure sightlines, and natural predators were gently directed to patrol areas that would impede alien progress. When the aliens advanced, they found themselves in a maze of obstacles. Patrols that seemed straightforward at first were delayed by sudden rock slides. Paths that looked safe were blocked by predators or falling debris. Drones were forced to retreat as steam and dust interfered with sensors. The humans, meanwhile, moved along hidden paths, always in control, always anticipating the next challenge. Vrix watched the unfolding events from orbit. His crew reported repeated failures and his frustration grew. "This is impossible," he muttered. "Every maneuver we plan, they counter without even engaging directly. How can a few hundred humans achieve this?" But Mara knew exactly how. It wasn't magic, it wasn't luck. It was training, experience, and the ability to see the environment as an extension of themselves. Every hazard, every challenge, every unpredictable element of the planet became an ally in the hands of humans who understood it. The turning point came when the aliens attempted to trap Mara's team in a narrow canyon corridor. They sent squads from both ends thinking that blocking exits would force the humans into confrontation. But the humans had already anticipated such a tactic. Small teams positioned themselves above the canyon, triggering natural hazards that slowed the aliens without endangering themselves. Rocks fell to block paths, geysers erupted to obscure vision, and predators that had been subtly guided into the area caused confusion. The aliens struggled to advance, their coordination failing under the pressure of unexpected obstacles. Mara moved calmly along a hidden ledge, observing the alien forces. "Notice," she said into her comms. "They think trapping us will work. But we are always ahead. Every path they choose, every move they make, we are ready. We do not just survive the trap, we control it." The aliens attempted to adapt, deploying larger squads and heavier equipment to push through the obstacles. But the humans were not fighting directly. They were orchestrating the environment itself. Lava streams that were unstable were redirected to create barriers. Venting steam and lightning strikes were used to mask human movements. Alien soldiers stumbled through hazards they could not predict, while the humans moved with calm efficiency across paths they had carefully prepared. For the first time, some of the alien soldiers began to panic. They had faced countless dangers, from hostile planets to fierce species, but nothing had prepared them for humans who could turn the deadliest environment into an advantage. Reports of panic and confusion spread up the chain of command. Even the most experienced officers struggled to maintain control. Rix clenched his fists. "They are extraordinary," he admitted quietly, a rare note of fear in his voice. "Their ability to survive, to control the battlefield without even fighting directly, it is beyond anything we imagined." But Mara's team was not done. They moved swiftly, coordinating every squad to reinforce high ground positions while creating additional diversions below. The aliens found themselves moving in circles, responding to threats that were carefully orchestrated illusions. Every attempt to trap the humans failed, because the humans understood both the environment and the behavior of their opponents. At one point, a larger alien squad attempted a direct assault on a ridge where humans had positioned themselves. They assumed superior numbers and weapons would give them an advantage. But the humans had already prepared the ridge with loose rocks and subtle tunnels. As the aliens advanced, rocks fell naturally from above, cutting off their movement and forcing them to retreat. From hidden ledges, the humans observed without being seen, ready to intervene only if necessary. "They still don't understand," Mara said softly. "Strength alone does not win. Intelligence, adaptability, and preparation do. We survive because we think faster, plan better, and use every element of the battlefield to our advantage." By the fourth day, it was clear that the aliens were not just losing, they were learning a harsh lesson. Every engagement revealed the same truth. Humans were not merely surviving the extreme conditions, they were mastering them. Every environmental hazard became a tool, every predator a partner, every unpredictable element an ally. The alien commanders tried to coordinate a massive strike, sending multiple squads from different directions at the same time. They hoped to overwhelm the humans with numbers, but Mara's team anticipated the approach. They used the planet itself to slow and redirect the alien forces. Geysers erupted at the exact moments needed to mask human movement. Rockfalls redirected patrols, and natural predators created confusion in enemy ranks. Even with superior technology, the aliens found themselves trapped in a battle they could not win. They could not anticipate every environmental hazard, and they could not match humans who had adapted to Deathworlds far more hostile than Grindel 7. Every advance was countered. Every attempt to flank the humans failed. From her observation point, Mara watched the chaos below. "They still think technology and numbers matter most," she said quietly. "But on our world, on any world like ours, intelligence and adaptability are stronger than any weapon. Every mistake they make teaches us, and every challenge makes us stronger." The alien soldiers, exhausted and confused, began to withdraw. They had learned that conventional tactics, no matter how clever or powerful, could not overcome humans who treated the environment as an extension of themselves. Humans survived where others would fail. They adapted when others panicked. They thrived where others would be trapped. Vrick sat in stunned silence on his flagship. "We have underestimated them," he said finally, his voice tight. "We have thought them mortal, but they are evolution. We cannot break them because they cannot be broken. The canyon, the hazards, the predators, all of it works for them." Mara's squad, observing the retreating forces, allowed themselves a small moment of quiet satisfaction. They had not just survived, they had dominated the battlefield without direct combat. Their strength was not in brute force but in understanding, preparation, and the ability to use the environment in ways no one else could. "We are not invincible," Mara said softly, "but we are always ready, and that is why no one survives a Deathworlder encounter." As the alien fleet retreated to reassess their strategy, the humans continued to move silently across Grindel 7. Every ridge, every cliff, every canyon was now familiar territory. Every hazard had been mastered. Every challenge had been converted into an advantage. The lesson of Grindel 7 was clear. Humans could not be contained, could not be trapped, and could not be predicted. Their mastery of survival, their intelligence, and their ability to adapt to any situation had broken the myth of invincibility that the aliens had believed in. By the time the sun rose over the jagged peaks of Grindel 7, Mara Kellen's team had already mapped the next phase of the battlefield. They would continue to lead, to adapt, and to thrive, showing once again that humans were the ultimate survivors in the galaxy. No alien force, no matter how advanced or numerous, could match them. No challenge was too great, no environment too hostile, and no strategy too clever. The humans had turned the deadliest planet into their advantage, and the aliens had learned a lesson they would never forget. And as the winds of Grindel 7 howled across the canyons and ridges, one truth echoed across the battlefield. The Deathworlder Special Forces were not just survivors, they were masters of survival. And anyone who faced them would soon understand why no one survives against humans who had conquered death itself. The alien fleet hung above Grindel 7, dark silhouettes against the glowing storms of the planet below. Commander Vrick stared at the chaotic canyons, ridges, and lava streams. For days, his forces had tried to corner the humans, to trap them, or to overwhelm them with technology and numbers. And for days, every attempt had failed. It was not fear exactly that settled in the command center, it was awe. Every patrol, every drone, every squad had been countered, redirected, or outmaneuvered by humans who seemed always one step ahead. The aliens began to realize that this was not ordinary soldiers they faced. These humans were different, smarter, faster, and more adaptable than anything the galaxy had encountered. Vrix paced the bridge, his eyes narrowing. "How do they do it?" he asked quietly, more to himself than anyone else. "We control the battlefield. We have numbers, strategy, technology, and yet they survive, they adapt, they thrive. How is this possible?" The answer was simple, though no alien had truly understood it before. Humans had been forged by worlds that demanded perfection in survival. They had lived on planets where storms could tear buildings apart, predators could tear apart entire squads, and the terrain itself worked against them. They had not only endured these conditions, they had mastered them. And mastery was something that could not be measured by technology alone. On the surface, Mara Kellen's squad continued their quiet observation. Every ridge, canyon, and lava stream had been mapped. Every natural hazard had been studied. Every likely alien movement had been anticipated. The humans did not move recklessly. They moved with purpose, precision, and patience. "They still don't understand," Mara said to her team. "They think they can outsmart us, control the battlefield, or trap us. But they cannot. The planet, the hazards, the predators, everything works with us, not against us. And that is why no one survives Deathworlder Special Forces." The aliens attempted one final maneuver. Multiple squads advanced along different routes, coordinating their movement with drones and sensors. They hoped that by dividing their forces they could catch the humans in a mistake or a trap. But the Deathworlders were prepared. Small teams had already positioned themselves along high ridges, narrow ledges, and hidden tunnels. Rocks were loosened above alien paths. Geysers were timed to obscure sightlines, and predators moved subtly through the area, guided by the humans' careful observation. Every environmental hazard was now a tool, every unpredictable moment a chance to gain advantage. When the alien squads advanced, They found themselves delayed at every turn. Falling rocks blocked their paths, geysers obscured vision, and predators caused confusion. Their coordination broke down. Communication interference from storms and terrain made it impossible to regroup effectively. The humans, meanwhile, moved silently along hidden paths, monitoring every alien movement and adjusting their plans in real time. Vrix watched helplessly from orbit. His hands clenched the console in frustration. Even with all our numbers and technology, we cannot predict them. We cannot control them. We cannot win against them, it was true. The aliens had brought their best strategies, their most advanced technology, and their most skilled commanders. Yet they were outmaneuvered at every turn by a few hundred humans who treated the deadliest environment in the galaxy as a playground for strategy. The humans did not celebrate. They moved with quiet confidence, observing, learning, and adapting. Every failure by the aliens taught them more about their tactics. Every challenge strengthened their resolve. They were survivors, but also teachers, showing the galaxy the ultimate lesson in adaptability, intelligence, and preparation. By midday, the alien forces began a slow retreat. They had learned enough to know that any further attempt to trap the humans would be futile. Even as they regrouped in orbit, their commanders admitted defeat. Humans had not only survived, they had dominated the battlefield without ever needing to engage in direct, reckless conflict. Back in the canyon, Mara Kellen and her squad watched the retreat. "They still don't understand why they lost," she said softly. "It's not strength alone. It's intelligence, adaptability, preparation, and understanding the environment better than anyone else. That is what makes us Deathworlders. That is why no one survives us." As the alien fleet withdrew, news of the encounter spread across the galaxy. Traders, explorers, diplomats, and soldiers shared reports of the humans' skill. Videos from drones and sensors reached distant planets, showing humans navigating deadly terrain, outmaneuvering alien forces, and using every hazard as a tactical advantage. The stories were not just of survival, they were of mastery, creativity, and ingenuity. Species that had once dismissed the rumors now paid attention. Young soldiers trained harder, learning from humans indirectly. Commanders studied the terrain and tactics used by the Deathworlders. Scholars wrote papers analyzing human adaptability. Across the galaxy, the legend of the Deathworlder Special Forces grew, not as mere soldiers, but as masters of survival, strategy, and adaptability. Even on planets far from Grindel 7, whispers of the encounter reached ears of those who had long believed humans to be ordinary. "They are not just soldiers," said a diplomat on a distant space station. "They are evolution made flesh. They turn danger into advantage, obstacles into tools, and every challenge into strength." Meanwhile, Mara Kellen's team returned to their base to rest. But their minds were already planning the next training exercises. For Deathworlders, rest was preparation, not idleness. They would continue to hone their skills, adapt to new hazards, and train for the challenges the galaxy might send their way. Mara walked among her team, observing each member. "We survived because we expected the worst and turned it into an advantage," she said. "We do not rely on luck. We rely on preparation, intelligence, and understanding. That is the difference between humans and every other species in the galaxy. That is why no one survives Deathworlder Special Forces." In orbit, Vrix made one final observation. Humans had not been defeated. They had not been overwhelmed. They had not been contained. And even with all his fleet's technology, numbers, and strategy, he had witnessed their dominance firsthand. "They are extraordinary," he admitted to his council. "Not because of brute strength, not because of numbers, but because of intelligence, adaptability, and mastery of the environment. The galaxy will have to respect them and fear them." The story of Grindel 7 spread like wildfire. Across countless star systems, humans were no longer seen as ordinary species. They were a standard of survival, a benchmark of adaptability, and a symbol of determination. Every species that had underestimated them learned a vital lesson. Humans thrived where others failed. They adapted where others panicked. They mastered challenges no one else could face. By the time the first alien ship left the orbit of Grindel 7, the galaxy had already begun to change. Military tactics were re-evaluated. Training methods were revised. Scientists studied human adaptability, and everywhere, whispers of respect and awe followed the humans like a shadow. Mara Kellen looked out over the jagged peaks of Grindal 7, feeling the wind and the thunderous storms that had been their allies. "We did not fight blindly," she said. "We did not rely on power alone. We used our minds, our preparation, and our understanding, and that is why no one survives us." Her team nodded in agreement. Every member of the squad knew it was true. Humans were not invincible, but they were unmatched in survival, strategy, and adaptability. Where others saw danger, they saw opportunity. Where others hesitated, they moved forward. And in every challenge, they thrived. The galaxy would remember Grindal 7. They would remember the humans who had turned the deadliest planet into their advantage. They would remember the aliens who had tried and failed to contain them. And they would remember one simple, undeniable truth. No one survives facing Deathworlder special forces. And with that, Mara Kellen and her team prepared for the next challenge. The galaxy was vast, full of danger and uncertainty, but humans had shown once again that they could not only survive, but master it all. And any species that faced them would soon understand why. The legend had grown, and it would continue. The Deathworlders were not just soldiers. They were humans, adaptable, intelligent, and unstoppable.